I am an international mountaineer, so I have done everything from Everest to Kilimanjaro to the Andes to now off to Antarctica in multiple mountains in Europe. And I'm going to put this in context for you. That was all after the age of 51 and after being diagnosed with cancer. And I share that both as a metaphor and as an opportunity. So I'm going to do this really quickly, but 15 years ago, I went into my accountant's office. I had just finished writing a book. I just finished a 10K, and I was having my taxes done. He looked a little peaked, and I said, "Are you okay?" I've known this guy for a long time. He said, "Well, actually, I'm in my second round of chemotherapy." And it was one of those moments where you just stop. How is it possible in life that here is a friend of mine, somebody I've known for all these years, and he just told me that he had cancer? And he saw the look on his face, and he said, saw a look on my face, and he said, "Yeah, I had a radical mastectomy back in January." So, wait a second. Not only was he sick, not only was cancer, but what did he just tell me? You have to remember, this is over 15 years ago that he had breast cancer. Now understand, I have been lecturing on health promotion, disease prevention, early detection, early intervention from Brussels to Boston for all of these years. I'd never heard of that. I gave him a hug. I said, "I'll say a prayer for you." I walked out of his office, down the hall, down the stairs, onto Main Street in Ann Arbor. I turned right and walking to my car, and for the heck of it, I just did a self-breast exam. If you've ever been to Ann Arbor, you know you can do a self-breast exam in the middle of the town. It just, no one's okay. And I stopped dead in my tracks. Behind the right nipple, hard as a rock, like a marble or a BB, it didn't hurt. But here, 20 minutes before, I'd never hurt, and all of a sudden, now remember, I've written the book on this. I can't ignore that. My radar has gone on. I have to do something about this, even though I have no pain. So I called my doc. I've known him since he got out of medical school. I told him, he said, "Oh, Michael, I wouldn't worry about it. I've never dealt with it, but you know we can always squeeze you in. So if you want to come in, come on in." Well, I'm a guy born in the 40s, raised in the 50s. We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to think that we have breasts, let alone talk about it. But I had to go in. So I went in, he wasn't there, so I told Jacobowitz, a female physician. I thought, well, that's even better. Female, maybe more sensitive tissue, more, I don't know. So I met with Toby. She said, "Gosh, I'm sure it's a cyst. I wouldn't worry too much about it." I've never dealt with it personally, but a colleague has. But if you like, here's a referral to a general surgeon in town. Now understand, most men would have taken those referrals. Two docs said, "Really don't worry about it," and walked out of the room. I couldn't do it because of my experience in this field and the importance of awareness. I went to the general surgeon, sitting in the waiting room, feeling a little uncomfortable. Here I feel pretty good. People need services. I finally see the doc. He says, "Gosh, I'm not sure. I haven't dealt with a colleague that had this. I bet it's a cyst. I wouldn't worry. What would you like to do?" Okay, now here is the big message. What would you like to do? So hold on to that theme as we go through the hour. What would you like to do? Understand again, born in the 40s, raised in the 50s, paternalistic medicine, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, and on. My job is to get sick. Your job is to fix me. I don't ask questions. What would I like to do? Well, I want to go home. I don't want to talk about this. That's what I would like to do. And they said, "Well, what are my options?" He said, "Well, we can always do a mammogram." No, we can't. I don't want a mammogram. I'm a guy. Besides that, my wife Hillary, she says that really hurts. I don't think I want that done. What are the other options? Well, we can take it out and take a look. I said, "Take it out, take a look." Well, you know where the story's going. So it was Memorial Day weekend, 1999, last clinical for the day before the long weekend. Laugh, 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 talk, talk, talk. Don't worry, I'm sure it's a cyst, et cetera, et cetera. Would you like something to knock you out? No, kind of interested, just go ahead and numb. So all of a sudden they cut into me and all of the chatter stopped. They tried to sew me back up after they removed the mass. The bleeding wouldn't stop. They had to open me back up again, had to cut through again. Finally, they had to go ahead and cauterize. Now remember, I'm fully conscious. And I remember so clearly looking at Dr. Marcus through the goggles as he looks down at me and he says, "Michael, I don't know what this is. I don't think it's cancer." Well, of course, at that moment, every fiber in my body had a pretty good idea. I was exposed to massive radiation during my time in the military. And when you were in the 50s as a kid, if you sneezed, you got a chest x-ray, lots of radiation. So it was a long, long 4 days. The path lab was closed because of Memorial Day weekend. All of a sudden, the phone call, Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, Dr. Michael, no good news. No good news. You have cancer. A bigger concern, you have a grade 3 tumor. You need to get in immediately for a radical mastectomy. Okay, I want you to pause for a second. If I had not gone, if I had not listened to my accountant, had my accountant not dropped the Y chromosome and shared that information with me, it very rapidly, as a grade 3 tumor, would have rushed into my lungs. I would have died, coded as a lung cancer death. All of this because people weren't talking, weren't pursuing. That was 15 years ago. Since then, I have watched the birth of 2 of my grandchildren. All 3 of my kids graduated from college. All 3 I danced at their wedding. My lovely wife has put up with me for another 15 years. The metaphor in terms of this is pay attention, okay? Whatever the C is in your life, pay attention to this, you move forward. The other part of it was people said, well, gosh, you're very lucky. You're 51 years old. Get comfortable on the couch. You've had a good life. And it was like, what are you, crazy? So it was that kind of motivation that sent me back to Alaska to get recertified in technical climbing, to start the journey. So one of my boys and I, we went back to Alaska, got certified, and then I started this journey of mountains. And it has nothing to do with the summit of mountains. It has everything to do with squeezing every ounce out of life that you possibly can, and recognizing that we can do way more than people tell us. So I've spent all of these years now working very closely with President Bush and Dianne Feinstein around this issue of cancer. And the number of people I've run into have said, you can't, it can't be done, don't do it, don't worry, get comfortable. Well, I'm telling you, in your organizations, in your community, in your personal life, in your family life, don't get comfortable. There are so many things you can accomplish. You can do it collectively. If I didn't have a collective intervention with my community at that time, I would be dead. I wouldn't be here. It does take the entire community to make things happen. So when I talk, I'm not talking as a university professor. I'm talking as one of you. We are the same person. Enjoy.